September 2010, the West African Regional Bloc, ECOWAS, set a new course for the fishery sector. Ministers of fisheries in the region adopted the regional policy and strategy for the coherent management of the fisheries and aquaculture sector, developed under the ECOWAS Agriculture Policy, ECOWAP. A regional fisheries committee is responsible for the operation of this initiative in consultation with all the countries in the region, as well as all institutions and operators in the sector. This is the inaugural meeting of the committee, which will ensure that all ECOWAS member states work together to protect their interests in the fishery sector through the harmonization of various national policies. The committee will also enable the monitoring and coordination of activities in the fishing sector in the ECOWAS region. All interest groups in the sector are represented on the committee.
Member states have to harmonize their policies and efforts in the fishery sector. The region has the potential to increase fish production with efficient organization of key stakeholders. ECOWAS is determined to work for the development of the fisheries sector.
The Regional Fisheries Committee has set up 3 committees on governance, trade and aquaculture to address from a regional perspective the challenges in these 3 areas critical to the contemporary development of the fishery sector.
The governance is about integrating all the different interests and aspects of governance. You know, if we have different policies in 15 member states, you are talking about 15 different policies. These are the things that add up to incoherence. Now, ECOWAS' role is to ensure that 15 policies are harmonized. There might be, individual peculiarities, but the framework should be the same. The commissions should know that this is where ECOWAS policy leads for fisheries and follow suit. The producer and professional organizations would also be on the same page as to where we are headed with fisheries. So we end up with an integrated system of managing, or if you like, coherent system of governing the fisheries sector.
We are trying to see what the improvements are, what are the inconsistencies that we find in our country, and try after these observations to make suggestions and recommendations that ECOWAS will try to achieve through our different states.
Aquaculture is one area that ECOWAS believes West Africa should take greater interest in. Experts are of the opinion that the current demand for fishery products cannot be met from the traditional open source, such as marine and inland fishing. Aquaculture is the practice that countries have therefore adopted as a viable option. However, countries in the West African region have been slow on the uptake.
We have seen that the capture of fisheries is diminishing, and the only way to replace that is through aquaculture.
Eugene Fezo is an example of a successful fish farmer. Her farm in the hinterland of Benin Republic is so successful that she can only guess how many fingerlings and fishes the numerous ponds hold.
Je vais le faire. C'est comme ça qu'on a acheté.
Fish farming is a profitable business now, especially with the PROVAC project. With the sale of fingerlings and matured fish, the yield is high. I produce much fish and people are still asking for more.
ECOWAS, along with its partners, is developing a policy for promoting aquaculture so that other Eugenies may emerge and boost income levels in the region. The sustainable policies will be driven by the Subcommittee on Aquaculture. Already, ECOWAS is training youths from various countries in the region on aquaculture at the Songhai farm in Port Novo. Just like in other areas of trade in the region, ECOWAS has recognized the need to promote regional trade in fishery products. West African countries import tons of fishery products worth millions of dollars from outside the region. Some of these imports can actually be met from within if only countries within the region will trade among themselves. The regional policy therefore seeks to create a network of farmers and develop a formal regional market.
We should put in place a system that will allow and facilitate the free movement of people and goods, that will help us to have good products through fishing, so that the products can be sold everywhere in the sub-region.
Fish farmers like Eugenie know the difference such institutional support will make.
Moi, je crois que la CEDEAO peut nous aider techniquement.
I believe that ECOWAS can help us technically by sending experts to teach us good fishing techniques. ECOWAS can help us financially because fishing needs huge capital. So we need financial and technical support.
Overall, ECOWAS intervention in the fishery sector of West Africa has the capacity of turning the sector around. Most fishermen are simple peasants who just want to earn a living and provide for their families. But fishing is no longer such a simple venture.
If we can harmonize the practice of fishing in the sub-region in all West African countries, this will bring those countries to use the same fishing technologies, to follow and respect the same rules and regulations, and it will bring about good practice across the sub-region and preserve our resources. One thing very important that we must also do is monitoring our shores. It is because our coasts are open that people are looting our resources and they go free.
This is why ECOWAS is taking up the responsibility of protecting their interest in an increasingly globalized industry. ECOWAS is partnering with the international community to see that the challenges in the most critical areas get proper attention in the interest of the countries of the region and its people. From maritime laws regulating the fishery sector to the mechanism and technology for enforcing such laws, ECOWAS is bringing together all the countries for contemporary solutions.
The fish in the oceans doesn't see boundaries, so fish can move from one country to the next. Therefore, not one single country will be able to manage their fish resources effectively without collaborating with their neighbors.
It is estimated that West Africa has the capacity to generate as much as $22 billion yearly from its fishery resources.
It means we have a potential to get money from the oceans if we are able to sustain the productivity of those resources.
ECOWAS wants to ensure that this revenue is held in by member states.
The whole essence of this is to help the fishermen because they are the major stakeholders in this business. Quite a number of them rely on this entirely as a livelihood. So if the fisheries potentials are sustainable, it will help the fishermen. It's the fishermen that are first and foremost the beneficiaries before you talk of other people. So the essence is actually to help the fishermen.
This young child may well have a future in the fishing industry because of the ECOWAS intervention.